Okay, we'll get going. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining today. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed the lunch. Thank you for hosting us here on IronSWUG 2025. My name is Matthew Hall. I'm with Dassault Systems. I'm in the SOLIDWORKS brand. I'm on the team that's called User Advocacy. I primarily take care of our digital online communities for the brand. My colleague Dan Wagner just unfortunately couldn't be here, so I'm covering for him. So we help each other, scratch each other's back. So I'm happy to be back in California. Years ago, I used to live here, so now I'm up in Vermont living. So kind of switch coasts. But we wanted to just bring the tour here, and I'm not going to talk too much because you guys are here for the experts, the real experts. But a couple of slides I'll just show. Well, and you can take shots of these, or connect with me afterwards. I can give you these QR codes. We'll QR code you, hopefully not to death. But the one here is going to the community.swugin.org. So that's kind of it's our new portal where you can go and connect and find out, what SWUGin meetings are happening in your area. If you want to reach out, connect and network with other experts from around the world, all about SOLIDWORKS. And it's on a new platform that we just adopted recently. And so you can sign up, get notifications, get the RSVPs for different meetings that might be happening nearby to you. If you want to just go to the next slide. This one here's there. It's a bunch of QR codes, but we're trying to connect with our SWUGin users anywhere they may be. Not everyone comes to one single platform. Of course, we would love it if everyone just came to our platform, of course. And that's the first code over there. That's what we call our 3D Swim. It's a social collaborative network. It's a forum where you can go and ask questions, get answers. It gets a couple thousand unique visitors every day. People just going there and helping out each other with their SOLIDWORKS issues and to get the success that they want with SOLIDWORKS. The next one over is we're also on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with us on LinkedIn, people are going there and professionally networking as well. There's some questions there. We share some information there. Again, not everyone's coming to Swim. Not everyone's going to LinkedIn. A new one we just started last year is Discord. All right, thank you. Got a woohoo. Is all the cool kids are on Discord these days. So Discord evolved from a gamers platform during COVID to something different, and we wanted to maintain a presence there as well and connect with people. So that one specific is a little bit more. Each of these platforms has some different goals. Discord is a little more of a fun space where we've been investing some more time in our makers focus stuff there in Discord. We're doing some live with Discord called Stages, which is essentially a live stream. We have one later this month where we're doing a collaborative design and build with a couple colleagues out of our 3D Experience lab in our Waltham, Boston office, the American headquarters. And the last one is we set up our 3D Experience World back in February. We set up we started going into WhatsApp. Because there's so many people around the world that are using WhatsApp. I kind of got pulled into it. I'm not the world's biggest WhatsApp fan, or not the world's biggest Zuckerberg fan, but there's so many people on there, be it in America or even in India, Southeast Asia. So we're having a lot of fun connecting there. It's a great place to just instantly connect with other SOLIDWORKS users, ask them questions. We're pushing out information there. There's a couple private groups in there that our SOLIDWORKS user group leaders can access and join. There's a group for our champions as well. So we're trying to go where our users are, and so it keeps us busy. That's for sure. Just figuring out which platform works the best for our users and whatever they want. So again, the first one, if you have some SOLIDWORKS questions and you want to connect with users from all around the world, you could just log into our platform there and ask questions. And I think in the latest release of SOLIDWORKS, the user form is integrated right into the software itself. You'll see a little panel you can open up on the side and ask your questions, copy and paste your models right in there and get answers pretty quickly. So that's my little spiel. Again, thanks for lunch, thanks for hosting us here, and thanks for joining. I hope you have a learning time.
Matt, can I just put a little icing on some of that cake?
Go ahead.
What Matt said, a great thing about that, guys, is there's a lot of nefarious information maybe about SOLIDWORKS, you look up, try and find a resource on how to do something, and you might not get the right answer, or maybe an answer that's not the best answer. The thing about this is you got a lot of SOLIDWORKS people, gurus, and SOLIDWORKS admins that are in there monitoring some of this and can potentially help you with those questions too. So if you got something that's knocking you down, of course, Go Engineers are bar here,
Yep.
but we could easily reach out to one of these support channels here. I'd say support channel, but it's a channel that you can ask a question. Maybe it's a project you're working on. You need to figure something out. Ask somebody to help set your mind right with it. It's a great place to do that.
All right. Thank you.
All right. I am ready to roll. Are you ready to go? Cool. All right. So one of the presentations I wanted to do this year for Altec specifically, and at least for our users in these final assembly areas, is defeaturing. Why and how. So we'll kind of dive into what kind of defeaturing is, why it functions, why it will speed you up as a user, and kind of how to do it using either some basic modeling methods or using some tools built into the software that SOLIDWORKS has, and we can go from there to show and kind of work with it. And I actually have a model we'll defeature both ways and kind of give you an idea of some pros and cons to each one. So we'll go why you want to defeature, how you want to defeature, and then I'll open it up for some question and answer. And but we'll go from here. So first things first, my name is Brad Meador. That's my government name. Everybody calls me Tank. First and foremost, my favorite job is to be a husband and dad. Secondly, I'm a project designer at Altec Industries. I've been there 12 years as at Roanoke Product Engineering. I build cranes, and I do structure design and component design for digger derricks as well, for the large derricks, the DTs, and we're working on the DX for the Poseidon. So we'll be doing that as well. I'm also the Roanoke, Virginia SOLIDWORKS user group leader, also known as the Star City SWUG. A Mid-Atlantic user group committee lead for all the Mid-Atlantic states. I also help with the Altec user groups as well, because, you know, Adam doesn't seem to function without me around. I don't know. Vernon just, we're not Brad or Adam, we're Bradham. It's kind of like they've done the Benefer thing. I don't know how that came about, but it just did.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Dan Wagner. Dan Wagner. I'm also a SOLIDWORKS champion, a certified SOLIDWORKS expert. When I'm, you know, because sleep is for the weak, I also have two other careers. I do live event production, where I put on concerts and parties and whatnot. And then I'm also a Virginia certified pyrotechnician. So when I get back from this road trip, I'm actually building fireworks shows for local cities around around the state of Virginia. So I will be doing that for the week after I get back. I get paid to blow things up. It's a fun job. It's a real fun job. So this requires a little caveat. This requires audience participation. Feel free to stop and ask questions, put them in the chat, both Zoom and Teams if you're on there. If you have comments or you find a better way to do it, shoot it over. I might even learn something. In fact, I showed Adam something yesterday and he actually looked at me like I was speaking gibberish. I did something on the screen and he just looked at me like,
Yeah, all presentations throughout the week will be recorded and uploaded to our IronSWUG YouTube channel. So you can catch any of the reruns on that if you want to go back and look at them. And he did one yesterday called Holy Shift.
I did an entire presentation just on the shift button.
And there were two things in there that I had not seen. So I definitely recommend one.
Yep. Also, I promise I don't make too many dad jokes, puns, add too many GIFs to the presentations. Maybe. Because, you know, I tend to do that kind of thing. All right, so defeaturing. What do you think featuring is? Pretty clear, right? From the SOLIDWORKS help documents, simplifying the model. That's it. Make it turn a really detailed component into a big blob or a space holder for something. Whether it's you're getting a hydraulic valve from one of our vendors like Parker, you get a cylinder, you're getting a module from our core controls group. You know, we don't necessarily need all that information. Defeaturing is pretty simple, right? Why should I do it? Well, if I'm opening up a full-scale sales model, which I'm sure a lot of you all do you need to see the bolts and nuts that hold the PC chip inside of your control module? No? Okay. Do you need to see all the valves and springs and all the springs and check valves and everything inside of a hydraulic valve on a truck that a customer is going to look at on a 10,000 foot view? No. For me, it's all about performance. When I'm doing big models, I say big, but complex models, you know, we don't necessarily need to see all that information, and we're going to kind of dive into why. Biggest is graphics, triangles, and calculation time. On our machines, we are given a company machine, and it's got finite resources on it. With those finite resources, much work as we can, as fast as we can, because that's what we're paid to do. Do as much work as fast as possible and get it out to our customers. I saw a bunch of customer trucks out there this morning, and I'm sure they would love to have their trucks done faster. So out of these two pictures, which one do you think is going to be easier to render? The left one. I think there's 12, let's see. There's 16 graphic triangles on that. 12? Yeah, 12 on the left. And I didn't count. It was like 700 or so, 800 on the other one. While we do have some good, models here, which one do SOLIDWORKS likes better? We don't need to defeature our truck that simple, because here's your truck. It's a cube. Trust us, it's gonna look really good when we get to it. But we also
that was before Clapper.
Oh, that's right. We're just gonna chisel that truck out of piece of square steel. A little bit of fun fact: your computer cannot display a curved line. No computers can. It can display straight lines, just like it can't display a single face. It has to break them up into individual facets. So, like tanks, we see a lot of these. First one, multi-body part. It's got a lot of stuff in it, a lot of information. It's not an assembly, download wire from our manufacturer, and it's got all these individual parts in it, but it's all just one big blob, essentially. All these faces and whatnot on it. 18 million graphics triangles on one part that the customer is never going to see. Because I don't want anybody to be them on their designs. But you see, right behind that centered bar, this baffle in the middle. You can't even see the detail because it's triangles broken up in the file. Little the part of 80 million graphic triangles just on this one graphics card that we did the study on was 1/10 of the actual capacity of the graphics card just on this one part. So again, you have a finite resource built in your machine. We spec them out fairly well, but we're using 10% of the graphics card just on one part inside of your sales model. It's going to drag you down. That internal baffle was just holes. The correct thing to model, if you're making that part, yes, that's correct. We didn't have all those details. But if it's going to be inside of that tank, that's going to be in a tank install, which is going to be on a sales model, our customer doesn't need to see that internal structure. Neither does SOLIDWORKS. All we're doing is bogging ourselves down with our own modeling practices. So we had a user go through, disregard the error up top. We had a user go through and actually make this thing into an assembly with individual parts in it that we can suppress and unsuppress and modify a little bit easier rather than just having multi-body part. And we got it down to 136,000 graphics triangles. So from 18 million to 136,000. I didn't do the math there, but that's like a 90 or more reduction in graphics triangle. Oh, okay. Trying to look at my dress over here. Just that baffle went from 12 million graphics triangles to 20. Just the bare minimum, because we're not going to be making this part at all. It doesn't matter to us what the part looks like internally to our sales model or internally to our install kit, because that baffle is welded in to a part that we're not going to actually touch and physically make. Somebody else is going to. So we defeatured, I'm going to say we defeatured the crap out of it. We took everything we didn't need out of it and just made it into basically a square. And we went down to 20 graphics triangles. Massive improvements in calculation time and speed, just on thinking outside the box on, do I really need that? Because as designers, the first thing I want to do is design a really nice looking part because I think I can do that. I want to design all my screws, nuts, bolts. I want to have all the features in it because I'm being paid to model and I'm going to model the thing correctly. Do we need it? No, we don't. So here's a prime example. Truck latch. There's roughly 12 door latches on a truck body. Adam's very familiar with this model, I'm sure. A previous model with the logo and with all the information in there, you see all that data. There's actually text embossed into the handle. There's text embossed into the top of the plate. 209,000 graphics triangles in one latch. You multiply that times the 12 that's on that body. It's 2.36 million graphics triangles.
Shit, I buy PlayStations by the dozen.
Well, we shrunk it down by just defeaturing some things we don't need to see. We don't need to see the spring in there. We don't need to see the pin all the way in there. If you kind of look, there's a little bit less data here and there. And we get it down to from 1,400 faces to 600 faces, and we cut it from 209,000 graphics triangles to 13,000. So we also shrink file size, which helps us with download speed off of our networks, and it also knocks it down to 10,000 less. Placards. Who models placards in SOLIDWORKS? Okay. Do you extrude the text? Don't. Read the text on that one, on the left one. This placard has 25,556 graphics triangles. If you just leave it as a sketch, which will show up in your print, it goes down to 172 graphics triangles. Yes. We also, inside of Altec, we have, if you go in and use your start part for a placard, there's a simplified sub-configuration in there where you can suppress all that and just have a plain flat one. So when you drop a model in with all those extra text, you're adding, orders of magnitude more graphics calculations for your models. Yes, if you have a sketch in there, you can have it. Yep. So just be mindful. One of our CAD admin did an event, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago at World called Prove It, You're the Cause of Your Own Problem. And this is where we kind of got to the point of we were causing our own problems because we were over, I guess, doing our jobs too well and making everything really nice and detailed and pretty. But when it comes down to sales models, because, this is a final assembly, you're working on these big sales models, kicking ourselves in the butt here, trying to, open and function with these things. So we're given a finite resource. We have to download all that massive amount of data, work on that data, save and close. Just a quick poll. How long does it take Does it take less than 10 minutes to open a sales model from Team Center right now? 10? Okay. What about 20? 20, have you seen 30-minute ones? 45-minute ones? Okay. Good thing the mic didn't hear that, because just in case there was some people in that team on the call. But well, my first job outside of Altec, or before I got into Altec, we were designing big garage door openers for the U.S. Navy, and they were fully defined parts. We're talking bolts with screw threads in them, and heads, and like Phillips head things. Everything was fully defined. The graphics were set all the way up, and everybody come into work at 8 o'clock, clock in. We'd all look at each other and hit open, and then we'd all walk down to a coffee shop and get coffee for 45 minutes, and then come back and wait another 10 or 20 for the models to open, because of our modeling practices. But it looked fantastic. To quote my kids, it looked fire. That's right. I just did it.
He said, "Don't do that, Dad. Don't do that, Dad."
I love using Gen Z slang. So, but just little things we need to think about as we're modeling through our day-to-day jobs.
Deepak says he is using sketch text a lot these days, and it's helping keep the graphics to limited.
Yes, sketch text
And does a pretty good job.
Yes. So, how do we defeature a part?
And you got somebody else in here that said defeaturing is also critical for creating efficient FEA models.
Yes, yes, it is efficient for FEA models as well. Y'all don't do much FEA here, do you? No? I see some yes or no, some weird.
Once in a great while.
Once in a while, okay. Yeah, good tips. I like that. So, we're going to take this really sweet looking air filter from a company that most everybody should know, KN. And because I'm a motorcycle fanatic, we went and actually downloaded a KN model. We're going to defeature it. We're going to do it two different ways. We're going to do it the, I guess, slow and steady way. We're going to kind of show how to do it manually, and then we're going to do it automatically using the features built into the software. So, I downloaded this one from a French company. As you can see, all these things have French words in them. Just so I don't have to speak French. Oh no, I don't want to see that. Go away. Trying to get to my options here. Hate the screen share thing. Alright. Tools options.
It doesn't automatically translate.
You can tell it. Go to the feature manager system and shows translated features. You tell it which one you want to go to. This is if you use suppliers from that do everything else. And then in the feature tree, it'll translate all the features. That was one thing Adam taught me last year that I was blown away by. Yes.
How many surface triangles are there?
How many surface triangles? Let's see. Let's go to evaluate.
Hopefully everybody can count past their fingers and toes.
What? What are you talking about? Go away.
I love it. I think it's
You
here.
probably dragged it.
Yeah.
Teams is really bad.
So graphics triangles count 42,074 currently, according to this model here.
Okay.
And repetition circulaire, pardon my French, takes up 91% of my calculation for this part.
Wow.
One circular pattern.
It's probably those
Don't ruin my story.
sorry.
Okay. Move this up out of the way again. I hate Zoom control sometimes, especially since I don't use a.
It's better than teams.
Yeah. All right. So we know That's our problem. We can do something for manually simplifying a part. We can do something as simple as just suppressing it and taking the cut that caused it. Let's do that again on our performance evaluation again. We have 10,000 graphics triangles just on those two features. Now, do I need to see the Canon logo if it's going to be on a full assembly, full chopper assembly? If I'm going to render it, maybe I can turn that off. Do it again, run a performance evaluation. We got it down to 14,000. So we cut down the graphics triangles almost a quarter with 3 features being expressed.
Is there any other like features, kind of like how in a assembly there's like lightweight for parts? Is there anything such as that for individual features? Or?
You can do that with some patterns. You can do things. We tell it to go geometry pattern versus an actual pattern. An actual pattern takes the physics and cuts the part over and over again. A geometry pattern just says I'm going to move this one blob of information around. But you know, we've got fairly decent looking model in here. Do I need to see all this information in here? Maybe not. I have to go in and fill this in. We can come in here. Come in here and do a sketch. This circular sketch here. We'll convert to entities. We'll convert entities here using our sweet shortcut bar here. Use S key or use your mouse gestures into your shortcut bar because I don't like touching the keyboard at all. Move my 3D mouse over here.
It's a 3D mouse.
Yeah.
You ever seen it?
If you fill out the survey at the end of this presentation, you can win the enterprise version of this.
The Mac Daddy version.
Which has a screen and extra buttons and everything. Watch. I'm going to touch this. Watch the screen. It's smooth on mine one because we're streaming across 2 different devices here.
Look at his, it's just a complete smooth rotation on his.
It actually makes SolidWorks function faster because when you use your mouse wheel to navigate, like click, roll, every time it clicks and scrolls, it's regenerating the graphics. It won't regenerate the graphics until I take my hand off.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you get your supervisor and you don't win the one that we have that we're giving away, make your supervisor to buy one.
A lot of
They're like $200 and they're wireless, and you can buy them as a kit with the actual mouse as a combo kit. 3D Next. Plug to one of our sponsors. They're actually sponsoring this event the whole week. But this thing is fantastic. Like it even has all the programs.
a lot of our departments have bought these, but if your department tends to go to do that, let us know because we can reach out as 3D Connection is our sponsor. We might be able to help out
We
with
can get some
that
discounts for everybody.
and get some discounts. So let us know before your department does that.
But we'll get back into this thing here real quick. Sorry, shameless sponsor.
I don't see mouse.
This is the less expensive one of all. It's not too bad.
That's the least expensive. The kit that you can win about $800, $550 maybe out the door. Whole kit 50. But see, I filled the end up here just with an extrude because I don't need to see the internal faces in there. We'll do our performance evaluation again. We're still around 14,000 graphics triangles. Eventually, we're going to reach the point of diminishing returns. Since we have ACE and we are an Altec place, we can do our model health checker here. And oh gosh, our image quality is too high. We're going to hit that RX button, drop our image quality down. We're going to do that again. Run our performance evaluation. We got it down to 6,000 graphics triangles. So we defeatured this part. You saw how slow that was, but we're going to unsuppress all this stuff here. I wouldn't say it was slow, but you know, it wasn't as efficient as I want it to be because I'm being told I need to get this thing out. There's, you know, my supervisor yelled at me, my part's not done. I got to get it done fast. Well, SolidWorks has a nice thing called the defeature command. So if you don't have it up here, up in your command manager, you go into your search bar. Again, using your S key, you got your search command there. Spell out defeature. And we've got the defeature command here. So we're going to start. We want to remove all internal bodies. I want to remove any small bodies that are less than, let's just say 5% of the entire part size. I want to then click the next button, which is a little arrow key up at the top here. It's going to split the screen, and it's going to allow you to say what features I want to keep. Of course, it's not going to do it the way I want to because I'm using the thing. Let's do this. Go back. All right. Okay, so I know I need to keep the mounting face, and I want to keep the 3 bolt holes that I want to keep. To remove internal details, it's going to sit and actually defeature over top of everything. Start taking away features, so we can come in here and say, okay, now I got some things I want to remove out of the feature tree. I can come in the patterns that I want to get rid of, select those, find so there it is there, and click the next button. And it's going to sit there and defeature everything internally. It's going to remove the parts that you don't want. And then it's going to give you an option at the end to save it as a file itself, like an external document, or you can save as a new configuration. We at Altec want to use an internal configuration so that we can use it later inside of a part. So we've got our defeatured part. We're going to run a performance evaluation on it. We've got it down to 2,800 graphics triangles. Or we can go back to our fully featured part and run it again. Because of the image quality going down, it went down to 22,000 graphics triangles. So we went from 22,000 to 6,000. So 25% of the size of the part. And so obviously, if you want to change the way this was named here, let's see. There's a way we can change the way it was named here, or Team Center recognize it. I'm not sure how Team Center will play nice with this using the actual name of the defeature tool, but I believe we can.
Can you rename it like ref underscore something?
I'm going to look at that real quick. But if you're not using a PLM, you can just use it, go as is, run it. I would love to have called it simplified and not just have it go from there. Let's see.
As long as you're not saving it, you should be able to drop in change it.
Yeah.
If you can, you can probably get that added to the list of accepted names.
Yeah, underscore defeature. It is a sub configuration. Let's just. Yeah, it's actually trying to pull that configuration. So inside of Team Center, we'll have to add that, I think, as one of the swim commands for the defeature. Or I know we have one called simplify. You can do the same thing manually, call it simplify, and it'll allow you to save it in as the regular partner. So what they call a non Team Center managed part. So, but just kind of give you an idea of why we want to do this, because we're limited on our resources and what we need to do. And obviously, this thing spins a lot faster and rotates a lot better. And if we were to do a slice on this thing, it is just a big solid blob, because I don't need to see everything inside.
One thing you want to be cognizant of is the weight, right? You want to still keep your visual weight. Is that?
No, this will not take into that account. So if you were to go into mass properties, you might have to tell it what the weight is. And if the supplier gives you an accurate weight, then you can add it in here as your override mass properties. Anyway, because a lot of our valves come in just surfaces, and we have to put them in anyway. So defeaturing it doesn't really affect it when we already manually added our center of gravity.
I'm just gonna say that was just all one material, right?
Yes.
And it's got a weight to it, and now you turn it into a big block.
Yeah, it'll add some weight unless you go in and get it.
You're fixing.
Yep. So that's one thing, a little bit to be cognizant of. So.
Water cooler weight like it. Was the water cooler?
Yeah. Oh yeah, the water.
1,000-pound water.
That'd be funny. Well, I mean, a water cask with water in it's pretty heavy though. If you think about it, 5 pounds of water or 5 gallons of water, it's like 40 pounds. That's pretty heavy. But if you left it as a default material, oh my lord, you would treat it as a big chunk of steel.
Yeah.
A couple hundred pounds.
Or your weight study up there.
Yeah. So, at the end of my presentations, we always like to say we like to call people to try new things. So try to defeature some parts. You know, if you get something from a vendor, defeature them manually, or we actually have a submitted ACE idea where you can submit it into. We have a gentleman out in Midwest that will defeature and convert parts for you. If you run into a situation where it's a valve that's overly complicated, or you get a step valve that's blown up, you know, reach out to him or to me or Adam. You know, we can always work on that. I like helping people out on these weird edge cases. It's so much fun to try to figure out, okay, why is my part blowing up? Oh, you forgot to add a comment there or something, and it makes it funny. But teach your coworkers, you know, you got a lot of y'all here. Spread the word around. Hey, you're more slow. Stop putting text in your placards.
Hey, Brad, I played with Defeature on a few parts, and there was an option to just do surfaces only.
Just on the outer surface?
Yeah.
Like wrap it? Yeah. You could do that too.
Is file size, is it advantageous to do that, or do the simplification that you were showing us?
It depends on your use case. If it's something that's got a ton of information inside that you don't need, just doing the outside, you must prefer. Make sure it looks as close as possible. Essentially, at that point, you're just basically taking it as just a big blob at that point.
A lot of parts, really, all you need is a mounting pattern. Right?
Yeah.
You could care less if it's square, round, whatever.
Yeah,
You just need the mounting pattern.
And overall, just space holder at that point.
Yeah.
Like your water cask, you don't, it's just a cylinder at that point that says igloo on it or
But
something.
a couple things I've tried to,
Intake.
like the model just disappears.
Oh yeah, because it tries to defeature everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just step through one at a time and figure out which things you need and which things you don't. And I originally wrote this presentation on 2025, which has a little bit more options in the defeature tree than 2024. We're going to give that next year. It allows you to do things where you can wrap it almost like a big saran wrap over the whole thing and just get that, or you can go in and defeature it manually, and it'll just be big squares, big cylinders. If you wanted to go that route, it has some deeper options that you can pick from. So, questions? Yes.
So if I wanted to defeature all my placards, do I just go and just delete all my boss extrudes then?
You don't have to delete them. Just suppress them. Suppress them and then show the sketch. You're done. That's it.
No sketch, like right or something like that.
That or poke the eyeball.
And drawing.
So you can come in. So inside of here, you hit the eyeball button. You can say, I want to view sketches.
Yeah.
And then inside that individual part, you just make sure, let's go back over here to this one. You want to go back in to find whatever sketch you want to find. You could say, I want to show that sketch. It'll show it.
And you have to show it in the print too.
Yeah, you have to tell it to show it in the print. But it'll allow you to not have to have that extruder that cut in there.
Because there's really no reason for it, right?
Yeah.
Because like expected.
There's not.
This
It looks pretty. It looks really pretty, especially in the model. Because I guess the text is a little harder to see in the model than it is on the print. But who's zooming into the model to read the text? I mean, you made it, you had it put on there, right? And
Yeah.
now you know it's good.
Yeah.
So
because I mean, all you really need is you need that part thrown into that model to drive it appropriately on the building material. It just needs to be placed. You can put your edge dimensions in there where it needs to be. but none of the information on the placard has to be there.
Right.
At the part level, we can do that at part level, but you
Yes,
still do it part.
yes.
Part load.
Yeah, you would do it on the actual placard part itself.
Okay.
Suppress those things. A lot of our, I'll just show you here. You go to a new part, you go up, you just up at the top here, we have a placard start part. It even comes with a simplified configuration, and it will open that up here. And it, you know, it has a simplified configuration in it, which will suppress all that information.
Has anybody tried the KB Max tool we have from placards too?
I didn't know there was.
Yeah.
Do you have a KB Max representative here? So get with Rona, check with Thomas Lusk.
He's not on the online.
He's not, but he did a lot with it, so he'd be able to at least point you in the right direction. I don't handle placards, but I know it's there just to use KB Max quite a bit. But there is a KB Max placard in there as well.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have, if for people who don't have the KV Max option, because you have to pay for licensing and things like that, we have a start part for a lot of different placards, and the simplified version is just a square. So just to kind of show you here, this one is 15,000 graphics triangles. The simplified one is 112.
On that simplified one, you said you could show sketch and it'll look like the placards without the colors, but without the.
Yeah, so you can do yeah, just like show your sketches if you want to show them.
Was the one thing is that, I use placards that are used by the clients too. And so if I go in there and I just delete the boss extrude, do they have to show sketches on our own personal PC?
No, it's in the file.
It's in the part level itself.
Okay, so if they pulled it up again, they would spell that text. Somebody else's file. Another division.
That would be a minor rev.
Sorry.
Yeah, you could do it. It would be minor rev model maintenance.
And if you're using your own, like if you're porting in a placard from another org, you can ask whoever it is to defeature it down. They're ultimately responsible for the use of that.
Yeah. Just give them an explanation of why.
Like,
Yeah,
hey,
I'm
this
sure
is
they'll-
killing me. This is killing my part file, please.
And then guess what? You just dropped some knowledge bomb on somebody else that needed it.
Yes, correct. All right, I am. If do y'all have any more questions?
Let me see if anybody has anything online.
Do we have any questions on
Any
the
questions?
Pablo had a question.
Okay, you want to ask Paul? I'll look through Zoom. It would be a good idea to override mass, center of mass and moment of inertia to preserve those data, that is if needed.
Yes.
So there's a suggestion, not only the mass, but center of mass, moment of inertia and those
Yep.
things too.
You would have to do that to make sure that it works, as intended, or it has the same information there, yes.
Any tricks for simplifying springs?
Chip,
Joe, you guys got any ideas back there for that one too? That's a real thing.
most of the time, I just extrude a silk hooks on ends, because you can say that this is the extended length of the spring, this is the short length of the spring, and it's just a cylinder.
Just put a silhouette over.
Is there like a cosmetic, like a thread, cosmetic thread, cosmetic string?
I haven't.
That's a good idea, DeSo. Cosmetic spring.
The cosmetic spring over a cylinder.
That would be
User
pretty good.
enhancement,
That's
user
a nice user enhancement. I would submit that. Go if you guys are here. We can submit that as a good enhancement idea. That's nice. I like that, Jose. A cylinder extrude would be helpful, is what Deepak said back to that.
Deepak is the
and that-
man when it comes to it.
Yeah, Deepak. If anybody has ever looked through the old forms and stuff, Deepak is everywhere. He's like the godfather of SolidWorks forms.
Let's do
We're Bananas, a co-pilot for mechanical engineers, a tool built to save time, effort, and money without disrupting how you already work. Bananas integrates directly with your existing CAD and PDM tools, like SOLIDWORKS and SOLIDWORKS PDM. We've packed in more features than we can show you in just 3 minutes. But here's a quick demo. Let's say you've made a change, maybe to the model, the drawing, or both. You check it into your PDM system and create a new version. That's when the magic begins. Right after check-in, Bananas automatically compares the new version with the old one. You'll get a notification letting you know your compare is ready. Just one click and you're in. Need to come back to it later? No problem. All your compares live in your personalized dashboard alongside tasks, design files in workflow, and more. Inside the comparison view, you'll find smart insights, overwritten dimensions, missed details, items that don't comply with your standards, even suggestions to improve your design. It's like having a second set of very sharp eyes. Want feedback? Easy. Share the comparison with teammates, leave comments, request changes, and track every note. It's built for collaboration, and yes, there's a full audit trail. Also see every change highlighted and categorized. What was added, deleted, or modified. Small stuff like view shifts, form, fit, function edits. We don't clutter your view with those. And what if a change was unannotated? No problem. Our 2D overlay shows added lines in green, removed ones in red, right on the drawing itself. Simple, visual, and easy to understand. Ever struggled to track BOM changes after renumbering? Not anymore. We align text to updated numbers, making BOM comparisons clear and easy to follow. And for 3D models, just hit Compare. Get a side-by-side view with all volume changes clearly marked. You can comment and annotate right on the model, and yes, your notes stay in place even when you move the model around. While reviewing, you can instantly see who approved what and add your own approval in one click. Want to share? Export the changes as red line drawings for both versions. You'll also get a detailed report that clearly shows what changed. Perfect for handing off to a colleague or supplier without endless explanations. And here's a feature that surprises a lot of people. Bananas can even write directly into your CAD software, automatically placing revision symbols on drawings or generating change descriptions ready to copy and paste. Because nobody wants to send a drawing back for a missing triangle, and nobody wants to fix it either. And that's just a sneak peek of what Bananas can do.
Okay.
Okay, that actually, see if that speeds up everything. You're trying to stream to 2 different sources.
It's 2 different sources on a cell phone, guys. It's so good. Doing good here. So just everybody should start trickling in now. But so moving on to the next presentation, for what I've got here is going to be, did you miss it? What's new, tips and tricks that you might have missed over the years, right? And so my first question I'd like to start out with for this presentation is, does anybody know what is special about SolidWorks this year?
I forgot.
Ooh.
All right,
All right, Brad, I know you're antsy. What is it?
30th anniversary.
30th anniversary. It's been
30
30
years
years since SolidWorks,
rolled out.
rolled out. So this is the 30 years. It's their birthday. Happy birthday, SolidWorks, right?
And so
And
that's
so
why
that's why
I
I
put
put
this
this
little
presentation together for a little fun kind of thing to look at and just look through the year, the history of it. I do want to throw some creds out there. Thank you, Dan Wagner, for throwing me a few slides that I could use in this that he got from somebody else that he was able to get from. So wherever the original thank you goes, thank you for creating a couple few slides here.
Somebody says we got echo. Maybe make sure everybody else is muted.
Yeah, anybody on Zoom mute? We'll be up there.
Just go to the participants in Zoom and mute everybody.
Who was unmuted? Who was unmuted in the room?
There's a lot of them that are unmuted. Okay, I think they got most everybody. Has that fixed the echo? Hopefully. All right. Okie dokie. So getting back into this.
Good to go.
All right. So yeah, it's happy birthday SolidWorks, right? And so I put this presentation together a little to have a little fun, look at the history of SolidWorks, where they came from, where they've gone, and then expounded on those few slides that had been created before. And you can kind of see that transition here in a minute. But getting into it. For those who don't know me, my name is Adam Ebernickel. Come on, you can do it. There he goes, 2 at a time. Project designer, product engineering department, Altec Industries. So in the Burnsville location down in North Carolina, and also adjunct in the applied engineering department at Malin Community College. So I've been teaching at the college about as long as I've been with Altec, over 10 years. Doing about 3 classes a semester out there. Also lead the Western North Carolina Asheville SolidWorks user group, doing that just about as long too. Steve Anderson kind of challenged me to get involved in that and work with it. And I give a shout out for Brian Wilcox, if you guys know him, actually introduced me to the group. SWUG and committee member for the Southeast region. So that's basically Mississippi, Tennessee, down through the Caribbean. So all the groups in that area, just like Brad was mentioning, in Mid-Atlantic. I kind of help have stewardship over that and help those guys and if they need it or whatever. As well as the Altec. So all the Altec SWUG groups fall underneath me as my steward with the committee as well. SolidWorks Champion. If you guys don't know about the SolidWorks Champion program, I always like to encourage people to check that out. Go Google SolidWorks Champion, plug for Meg. They do an enrollment every year around April. It's good to have a sponsor. So if you need a sponsor, holler at Brad or I'm sure we can help sponsor. You do have to have at least a CSWP to be involved in that. And it's kind of SWUG on a more personal level. That's the way I like to put it. And then certified SolidWorks expert, of course. All right, so what are some key takeaways with this presentation we're going to be looking at today? So where did it all start? What happened with SolidWorks? And did you miss anything along the way? There's been lots of updates, a lot of things going on, enhancements, new features, those kind of things. Did you miss any of those going along the way? And of course, hopefully to catch a tip or trick during it as well. So let's first look at this. I'm not going to play this full video. This was done by Dassault Systems. It's on their YouTube channel. If you want to go in there and look at it, you can. But I'm going to play just a few seconds of this just to look at some of the then and nows and the progression that SolidWorks has made. It's going to play, I promise. There we go. So any of the old heads might remember this, but this is how you had to set up relationships before. If you wanted to set something, coincident or horizontal or whatever, you had a little dialog box that popped up, and then you would set that coincident or whatever. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a software that shall not be named. So it's a little bit older, dated back. Now you can see you can create relationships a little bit more on the fly. You still have a properties menu, but that's usually docked over on the side, right? Here's some chamfer stuff. This is how fun it was to do chamfers at the original date. Right? Versus now. A little bit more streamlined, a lot more user-friendly. They took a lot of our suggestions as a community back into heart and looked at that. And of course, just doing some dimension properties here. So much better, so much better. We're not going to spend too much time there. This was just to kind of give you an idea of some of those things that happened then and now. Let's see what the next one is real quick. So this is just opening, just a simple open. Anybody remember when Windows looked like that? To now we have a better open. We got faster opening stuff, recent opens and stuff like that. All right, so let's just jump back and look at some history with SolidWorks and kind of where it started and came from. So it started in 1995. That was its release, was 1995. So that's 30 years ago this year. But I want to back up just a little bit because that was just its actual release. It wasn't when it really kind of started, in my opinion. I feel like it kind of started back in 93 was the conception of it. Does anybody know who John Herstick is? So John Herstick is the guy who developed SolidWorks. He was the brains behind it and what he was trying to do. Anybody ever watched the movie 21? It's a blackjack movie. They went and did some card counting. It's about a bunch of MIT students. Okay. So John Herstick was one of those MIT students that they made that movie off of. He was one of the card counters. It was actually a card counting club that MIT had, right? And so they put it together. He was one of those students that was in, it's actually called the MIT Blackjack Team, is what it was. And so he got into that, did a lot of card counting, took $1 million of his winnings, right? And said, I want a CAD software that is not only more user-friendly, but is not on Unix like everything else was at the time. I want it on Windows, and I want it to be affordable. I want people to be able to actually be able to afford this software and use it. So does anybody want to take a stab at how much SolidWorks cost when it was released in 95?
Like a license.
A license of SolidWorks, yep.
$10,000.
Little bit too much. You can drop it down a little less than half. Even closer. So $4,000. $4,000 is what SolidWorks cost in 95. Anybody want to take a stab at how much it costs today?
$2,000.
Let's go with $4,000. It's still just $4,000 for SolidWorks licensing. So it's pretty interesting that he had this conception of what he wanted to do and get it into people's hands, and it's still there, right? And they're constantly investing in it. They're constantly upgrading it. They're constantly building enhancements and features. So it's really cool to see how well SolidWorks has actually done with the progression of that. So, and that's compared to a lot of other CAD systems that were starting out at $18,000 at the time, probably still are. I mean, if you look at some other softwares in the CAD industry, you're not only paying for the CAD, but you're paying for each feature you turn on after that point, right? So if you want to do CAD, that's fine, but then you want to do sheet metal, guess what? There's some more money for sheet metal. So that's kind of interesting too, that it was like that. So there we go, 95. And then we look at this timeline. We're just using this timeline. This is the slide that I borrowed, right? And it goes up to 2017. But just having a little bit of fun here. Over the years, SolidWorks has just acquired millions of users and bringing in millions of users. They need more tools and things like that. So throughout the timeline, they've added things to the Dassault Systems or SolidWorks family. And so who thinks that the next one to roll out in 2000 was Toolbox or Composer? Who wants to take a guess? Toolbox or Composer? Toolbox is something we don't use here. It's got a lot to do with hardware and stuff. Composer is more of a document based for, like, let's say parts pages kind of stuff.
We got Toolbox, we got.
So Toolbox or Composer, what's next? Toolbox, you guys are right. Got it, Toolbox. And so if we keep moving along through here, just to look at some other ones, the next one won't even have you guess because it's simulation, followed by Flow, right? Then we jump over from Flow. We'll look at 2006. Do you guys think DraftSight, PDM, or Composer? PDM. So that's when your product development manager came out, your PDM came out. Okay. And then we'll just go ahead and jump the rest of them in there and just kind of see what that timeline looks like. And you kind of see what came in and when it came in here. So yeah, you got Toolbox 2000, simulation was about 2001, then Flow is 2003, PDM follows that, Composer, DraftSight, and then all the way up to the managing CAD, right, all the way at the end after your PCBs. But Dassault Systems didn't actually create SolidWorks to begin with. They acquired it as well. Anybody know when that was? Let's go with 97. So that's when it came into play. So just shortly after, John Herstick fleshed this out. Dassault Systems said, hey, this is a really great product. We want to bring it into our wheelhouse. And you can see a lot of that still going on with Dassault Systems when you start talking about the platform, you start talking about X Design, X Shape, some of the stuff we talked about yesterday. So they're continuing to grow and meet the demand of the customer. So that's, not trying to be a SolidWorks fanboy, but it's a really great software and a company that listens to the users, and that's what I like about it. So jumping forward, let's get those out of the way and let's go into a little bit more stuff here. And just look at all this stuff. And this isn't even all of them, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is the ones that I felt were probably most beneficial to me and people I knew, because there's even more than just this. And then we're going to dive into some more of them as well here in just a second. But yeah, you got all kinds of crazy things. Things like display states. Who would have thought that was something that wasn't there, right? Could you imagine running your system without display states? That'd be kind of a little hard or aggravating to put together certain drawings and stuff. Lightweight, having a lightweight model, not having to worry about loading everything in and taking the hit for opening times and stuff like that. You can load them in lightweight. LDR was one of those things that came out. Mates, grouping mates, isolating, shortcut bar, mouse gestures. All these things were iterations that came out along the way that I don't know personally if I could live without right now, right? And so let's look and dive into some of these a little bit more. We'll talk about them, and hopefully we can come out with some things here. But let's look at the first one, in-context modeling. Does anybody do any in-context modeling? Fit, yeah. Yeah. Relation. So that's where I was going to go with it is still being able to use in-context modeling without external references, because the in-context modeling can allow you to use those relationships between another model. Say your hole's on one part and you have a hole on another part, and you use the external references. One changes, the other one's going to change, right? Problem a lot of companies find with that is managing that. So Altec, we don't do external references. I still feel like you can do in-context modeling though, even without external references in the base of just not using that. But like Jose said, seeing if something's going to line up, if things are working, maybe converting entities. And that's what I want to jump into next, because I was surprised to find out that a colleague of mine had been designing for quite some time and just realized he could do an in-context model and convert entities. So I want to just go through that real quick and show that process, because maybe that could be an aha moment for somebody. So see if my SOLIDWORKS got opened up here. There we go. All right. So let's do this here. I'm going to jump in and grab a plate real quick. Now, I'm just going to set that there. I'm not going to fully mate it or anything. Just get it flushed. That way it's sitting on the plate. But let's say I had this this floor plate, right? And I wanted to modify it or edit it. I could edit it there, right? And then when I want to create the sketch or the cutout, I could simply do that with the command. I use my mouse gesture. I'm gonna go ahead and do a cutout. And as I apply the cutout, I can do things like clicking this edge here, and then this convert entities, which also lives up here in your command manager. Do that guy. Okay. And now it's there, right? So there's sometimes that I will have to find it here, and there's sometimes I won't. It depends on how complex this model is before I decide to define, because sometimes it won't want to grab sketches. It'll try and grab parts, and it doesn't want to grab the parts and stuff like that, right? So there's times where I'll do whatever I need to do that convert entities, get what I need out of it. I'll go ahead and close. No, sorry, wrong one. Cancel. Go there. So, okay. And it's because I didn't fully close out of it the first time I hit discard. It's not there. The sketch should still be here though. So I'm going to say, we'll take that and add that cutout back. Say that's what we want. And then we can come back in and edit that and fully define it as in that part. So I know it's just converted I can convert whatever lines or entities I want over into that next model and help get mounting patterns right. I don't have to sit there and take measurements over and over and find out what the hole spacing is or how big the hole is. I can just convert the entities, apply those straight to the other part. Now, of course, doing it this way and having your external references on and off is another thing. If we jump back into the part, just for everybody's context to be able to see what we're talking about there. If we come back and edit part in place, this is your external references up here in the top left-hand corner. For associates at Altec, we try and keep that off so you don't create external references. For others out there in Zoom land, it's totally up to you and your company what you guys want to do. Okay.
But you could still do what you did, but before you get out of the sketch, you just break that relationship.
Yeah, you can still do it. Even if that's on, yeah, you can break the relationship too. Yeah. Yeah. Just always make sure you go back and define it. I've seen some people, and it's not, I don't think they're trying to do anything wrong. It's just they do this and then they forget to go back and define it. And then you've got undefined sketches and stuff, features and stuff in your tree. And we definitely don't want any of that. All right. So for the next one we'll look at, and it's just a little delayed on here, is the CSWP. Anybody in here got a certification? Good. Not this one? Soon, right? Soon, okay. So the first CSWP was given out, certification was given out, actually kind of rolled out in 98. So this is a shout out for the certification team. They've always supporting us out here on IronSWUG, and Daniel Bernilio. He does a great job, helped us out with a lot of codes yesterday. So we want to shout out certification, get those certifications, give yourself a pat on the back, but also prove what you know, right? I feel like certifications will only help you benefit and put more, I like to use the term arrows in your quiver, right? Of course, you may only do sheet metal. Maybe you don't see sheet metal on most of the certification testing, but what it does is it helps you figure out how to solve problems. I think it has really built your problem solving skill on top of the specific data that they're wanting you to learn for it as well. So it's a great thing. Yeah, good job getting your certification and continue doing that. But the first CSWP certification was given out in October 22nd of 1998. That's kind of interesting to know. And when you that one, I bet Daniel could look it up and tell us if he's on the Zoom. So if he can find that, it'd be nice to know if it's public knowledge who had the first CSWP. That'd be pretty cool. So we're just kind of moving through these. We see the CSWPs in our 98 section, so still 95 to 2 in here. Let's go on to the next one. 2D command emulator. Does anybody even know what this is? This was interesting. How I ran across this one and where it's at. So it came out in 99, just before 2000. It's one of the last things on the list on that section. But I was trying to figure out when command search just came out, because I had heard about another software not to be named who is just now coming out with command search. I'm like, wow, that's been in SolidWorks as long as I can remember. And so I was trying to find its conception date, and I really couldn't find it. Chased it back to 2010 and then back to 2000, still couldn't find it. What I did find is this 2D command emulator. And I feel like maybe the command search started here. Not sure about that. If anybody knows out in Zoom land or Dassault Systems, let us know. I'm kind of curious too. But I think it may have started with 2D command emulators. So anybody used AutoCAD in the past, like the 2D AutoCAD stuff? So yeah, and I'm one of those old heads too. Does everybody or people with the AutoCAD knowledge, did you guys go and click a lot of your stuff, or did you just type in like line or Z enter, E enter for zoom, extent, those kind of things? You remember? Yeah, a lot of keystrokes, and then there had the little command line at the bottom, right? And you just type into it, and it would automatically feed your features and stuff. That's what happened here in SolidWorks. They put a command line in there, 2D command line, that was very similar to what, say, AutoCAD was using. And so I'm kind of thinking that may have translated into the command search. So just a little bit of knowledge about that one. Okay, so the next one will be the SolidWorks RX. Anybody in here used or anybody in Zoom used the SolidWorks RX? Give me a +1 if you use the SolidWorks RX in Zoom. 1, okay.
All the time.
All the time.
It makes a liar out of everybody else.
It makes a liar out of everybody else. What do you use SolidWorks RX for?
Check the, like the video card.
Video card, graphics driver and stuff? Yep, perfect. That's great. I'm going to show you SolidWorks RX on here. Now, I am using SolidWorks Connected, so it's in a little bit different location, and I'll kind of illustrate that here in just a second and show some different functionalities within SolidWorks RX. It'd be really great for you to use. If you are on a regular SolidWorks installed license, then it's going to live here in your task pane. I know. So in your task pane right here is where you can find it. It's also up here, but this is actually where it only lives in SolidWorks Connected is right here. We'll hit that drop down, go into SolidWorks RX. And we can see different things here. This is kind of our home tab. It's basically just showing us some different, we can go to these different tabs, see stuff from. If we jump into diagnostics, I don't know if I'll leave it here too long because it may take a little bit. This is going to be exactly what we heard here is that maybe use it for graphics drivers, right? It's basically checking your hardware's system information and making sure you are compliant with what SolidWorks says your system needs to be.
I use it to see how long it's been since somebody restarted the machine, because I asked them, having problems. When was the last time you restarted your machine? 2 days ago, and I pull up the thing up. Now it says 31 days since you restarted.
Anybody try and push for 31 yet? No.
Machine first. Come back.
How about on Zoom? I just hear on Zoom, it's the longest you've had your machine run before you restarted it. So there you go for Zoom. So yeah, it's still kind of loading. It's looking through my system hardware stuff. It's checking that. We'll go over to system maintenance real quick. Kind of see where different things are being saved or different directories are at, all that good stuff. We can start the system maintenance. I'm not going to go too deep into this. It's going to probably bog down like this one is. I do want to get into this stuff that Brad was kind of just talking about, though, the problem capture. Actually, let me jump back to diagnostics one thing, just especially for this one comment I want to make.
Oh, mandatory reboot every 7 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Whether you like it or not.
That's pretty cool.
Oh.
Every weekend it has to reboot.
Oh, I like this.
That's not a bad idea.
Say you gotta do it anyway. They do their
software update. Yeah, it's inevitable. Maybe that's Altec's passive aggressive way to get you to restart your computer anyway. We got a system update. You're gonna have to restart anyway, right? So here it is. It finally did load. You can kind of look down through here. See, I've got check marks. I've got some different things that have some information. So last reboot was an hour ago. Some newer versions of stuff in here that's just giving me information about, right? So it's really good stuff. If I do something change, I can reload the results. But the part I wanted to talk about in here is that graphics driver that somebody just brought up, because especially on our devices here at Altec, Dell Command Manager loves to update your graphics driver. And also, when we push updates, sometimes that happens too on those Thursday updates. There's a to go in the background and the Command Manager and other Command Manager to fly not to update your graphics card. We just haven't got that far yet. So keep in mind, look for ways to do that, because when it updates your graphics card, it's just pushing you to the latest, greatest graphics driver that, that card says you need. Now, did Dassault Systems go and investigate that driver and make sure that it works perfectly with the problem? They didn't have time to. They have to have their team go in and look at it and make sure whatever changes that needed tweak that was fixed with it, right? And so you'll see different issues. You'll see lines do weird things. You'll see, it's just there's a lot of variables that can happen if you have an incorrect driver. So be mindful that you look at your driver, especially after updates. You always go back and revert your graphics driver back to what SolidWorks deems appropriate. Now, how do you do that? Well, you can easily go down here to solidworks.com, support hardware certification. It's right there in the SolidWorks RX file for you go in there, click that, takes you to that page. You're going to put in what version of SolidWorks you're on, what kind of computer you have, what your graphics driver is, and it's going to spit out what the current stable driver is for SolidWorks. So make sure you're doing that, especially if you see, I try and get people, if you see some funkiness in your graphics, maybe just go look at your graphics driver first, even before you reach out to somebody with support. And that way, when you call support and it's like, hey, did you check your graphics driver? And you say, yep, I'm good. Just reinstalled the other one, still got the problem. Okay. All right, let's jump over back to the problem capture. This is a really good tool. Sometimes I'll get people that says SolidWorks is crashing all the time. Okay, can we repeat the action? That's my first question. If it's not repeatable, it's a lot harder to identify the problem. But if it's repeatable, we're going to go right here to problem capture. And we're going to start recording the video, and we can tell it, what we're doing the source on. We can tell it to include log data as well as debug logs, which I always like to include all that stuff. And then when you get done, you can add all files, package it, and go. When you start recording, though, what you're going to do is you're going to hit the record button after you set those settings, go in, create that problem again, watch it break. And once it's done breaking, go in, stop your recording, and then grab all those files, package the files, and say, hey, go, we got a problem. Do you need this file? Or hey, TriMech or Hawkridge or whoever that might be for you, go send those log files to them and let them solve the problem for you. Don't spin your wheels. You got bigger fish to fry products out. Let go. That's what your VARs are there for, is to support you with this kind of stuff.
And for Altec people, we all of our VARs have NDAs with us, so you can send them files. So if you have issues with them, we're free and clear to send them files.
So I know for TriMech, it's trimech@support.com. For Go, do you guys know what yours is?
Support at
goengineer.com/support. And I'm sure Hawkridge has one. That's our other sponsor for the year. If they're online, they're more than welcome to throw that in the Zoom chat for us. Not sure what theirs is. But yeah, so keep that in mind. You can do this little bit of logging here and send that off so you can get better results with problem shooting. Now, reliability. This is one you want to keep in tab, right? If you are having those crashes all week long and we can't identify what it is, and you're up against the fence, you can go here and say, boss, my computer crashed 100 times this week, and then get this data right here, and it will actually delineate all the crashes, when they happen, and everything throughout the week. It'll show you all the different information about it. So if I hover over this guy right here, or click on it, usually it'll tell me what it is, or I can come down and list and look either too. There it is. Okay. So yeah, ended by task manager or other events, right? So it'll actually tell you what you've done. This is just a normal close. And then you'll see some in there where they crashed and stuff like that. And it gives you all the kind of data about that to give evidence that it's crashed 100 times this week. And that's why you might be delayed till Monday for release instead of Friday. I like how you look back. So use this SolidWorks RX tool. It's very useful and resourceful to help gather data and troubleshoot maybe something that's causing you issues.
I want to see that. Check mine.
All right, so the next one is going to be the shortcut bar. Well, I ask +1 in the chat if you use the shortcut bar, and then +2 in the chat if you promise to use shortcut bar after we talk about it. +1, or not +1 to you guys. You can just hold a finger up, I guess, right? Yeah. How many guys in here use the shortcut bar? All right. How many guys in here Eski? Yep. How many guys in here promised to try the shortcut bar after this meeting? Okay, got a couple. All right. So the shortcut bar is a phenomenal tool. It's one of those things that I harp on along with like mouse miles. We'll get to that. I think I may have touched on this when I was here last time. Does anybody remember what mouse miles are? The distance your mouse is just traveling all over the screen trying to find those features that you want to initiate and controls you want to do, right? And so you're driving everywhere. And the more you drive, the more time or more distance you're building up across your mouse and creating mouse miles, and those stack up. It's like going to the store and rounding. Remember, and they still kind of do it. Some cards do. I think the banks would say round up, right? You can set your card to round up where you go buy something, it rounds up. At the end of the year, you got what, a couple grand because you rounded up all year? That's the same with mouse miles. You're adding them up. You're going to keep accumulating them. And that mouse mile, it's the difference of, do you want to park in the back parking lot or do you want to park at the front door when you walk into work every day? I'm gonna park at the front door if I can, right? Unless I'm just looking for steps because Altec, hooks us up because of it. So yeah, that's the same with shortcut bar, mouse gestures, because of mouse miles. We want to centralize our commands to our mouse. That's going to make us the most efficient. CSWA, I don't say you really have to get into it too much. I would encourage you to. By the CSWP, if you're not using mouse gestures and shortcut bars, you're probably not going to do very well. In the timing aspect, not that you won't do well on the questions and the logic part of it, but you're cutting your time out by going and driving everywhere to get to those commands. If you centralize them, you're going to get there better. So let's go over in SolidWorks and just look at shortcut stuff for a minute. So the main original way you get the shortcut bar is coming up to your command manager, right-clicking, and go to Customize. We'll talk about the shortcut bar here. And the cool thing about shortcut bar as well as mouse gestures is they are environmental specific, right? So if you are in, let's say, a part, which is this first selection, whatever you're in a part setting and you use the S key, those commands specific for parts are going to be what shows. Same thing for assemblies, drawings, and sketches. They're environmental specific. Now, how do you do this? Well, at Altec, we have done something on rollout. Every time we roll out new versions of SolidWorks, we have a beta testing team goes, or alpha testing, beta testing, whatever you want to call it, goes and tests SolidWorks, make sure it's not going to break all the other stuff we plug into. And we also talk about, hey, what's most functional for people in shortcuts and mouse gestures, and we kind of apply those. They're very generic, though, right? Power users go in and modify this stuff. So Brad calls me an anomaly because he sat down on my computer the first IronSWUG we ever did, and like, what did you do to your hotkeys, your mouse gestures, and your shortcuts? They're completely different. That's because I've came from a lot of different CAD systems, so I've kind of meshed all of them together to what I think feels the best for me, and I encourage everybody to do the same. So in this setting, when we're talking about shortcuts, so we can go up here and we can search for them. We can kind of dive into it by the toolbars if we know what toolbar it might be on, and then we can just take them and drag them over. That would add it, right? Or we can grab them and take them off to remove them. That is the original way. That's the old clunky way of doing it, in my opinion. So you can also use that shortcut bar or the S key. It's just the S key, comes right up at your mouse. And a lot of people didn't realize this pre-23, prior to 2023, since we're talking about dates and timeline here, that the command search, which is down here in your S key now, was not there. It was actually listed up at the top in your menu bar across the top. And so you'd have to go up there and type it in. A lot of people didn't realize when you key, it defaulted your bar, your cursor to command search. A lot of people didn't know that. So SolidWorks in 23 said, hey, well, instead of that, just plug it into the S key. It'll be down there in that menu. They won't have to worry about if they see it or not, and they'll know it's there, right? But the reason I point that out is because it makes adding things to your shortcut menu so much easier. And what do I mean by that? Well, if I come in here and I say I want to add let's see, cut. Let's do an assembly cut. So with the command search, just as a little bit of information so you can know what that does, because I don't have a point for it. You can click it, you can initiate the command. There's an eyeball off to the right. If we poke that eyeball, it'll drive, poke the eyeball, let go of our mouse, it'll drive us to wherever that command is, put an arrow saying this is where it's at. So that way you know where it lives. And then the third option you can do with command search is to drag that straight to your shortcut bar. Boom. There it is. Well, trying to do it. Just being delayed or something.
Because it's a part command.
No, there's an assembly cut too. If it was a part command, it would be grayed out. See the gray ones down here? So if we do that, it should put it in right there.
We have the plus sign.
No, you just drag it up there.
Oh, maybe because it's connected.
I might have it locked. Hold on. No, this stuff's not locked. Anyway, it may be something what I've got going on here. You can drag that command and put it right on your shortcut bar. It's super easy. It's really nice to do because then you don't have to go searching for it. Go to your menu and try and move it over there. You can also do that and drag it to your command line here as well, which I encourage you to do if it's a command you're always using, or even build out your own command tab, command manager tab, and put it there, right? All right, so that's our S key. I encourage everybody to try the S key or at least go back and look at some stuff. But if you find yourself using a command over and over and over, type it in the command search, drag it right to your shortcut bar. All right, so our next one we're going to look at, and stop me if you need to, because I put a ton in here in case I didn't have enough content. So if I hit 30 minutes, somebody just wave at me and I will die down.
I mean, if we go to 1:30.
About 5 or 10 minutes left here. So, all right. So copy with mates. Who uses copy with mates? +1 for copy with mates in the Zoom chat. Okay, we got a few here. Who does not know? +0 if you do not know what a copy with mates is in Zoom. And does anybody in here not know what copy with mates is? Okay, awesome. This is going to be awesome. I love this answer. Copy with mates. So and you can do some of this still with SolidWorks too. I've done it with the weld nuts. I use mate references in there. That's some other softwares call it other things. But with copy with mates, it's going to completely eliminate a lot of time for you, especially in the mating process. So first thing I'll do is a little side tidbit here is I'm going to come up. Well, I can't go there because my Zoom stuff's in the way. So I'm going to come over here to my selection tool and I'm going to say select identical components. This is just an extra tip and trick for you. And who has a bunch of weld nuts or hardware or whatever various parts in your model and they're littered to the you're just trying to organize it into a folder or figure it out where it's at, and you're going trying to hunt them down that feature tree. This select identical components is going to save you a ton of time because once you select that and come in here and select this weld nut, all my weld nuts are selected no matter where they're at in the feature tree and all over the part. So there's your tip, your extra little tip for the day. I'm going to hide those. Because I don't want them. I just want to bring one in that is mated right, because that first one looks like it's messed up somehow.
You can find it.
Let's zoom to where that's at. Right there it is. So I'm going to right click this guy, copy with mates. I use this so much that it's actually sitting right here, copy with mates, right? And so it selects that part, and when you select next, yeah, that's the part I want to use. It's going to give you the different mates that's being used for it, right? And from here, you can say what you want to repeat, right? And for me, I know that when I put that weld nut in all these different locations, it's going to be on that same surface, right? So I want to repeat that surface. Say, okay, I'm good there. And the really only thing that I'm worried about is this concentric, but I've got lock rotation on it, so I don't have to worry about a planar mate in 3 different mates, right, or axes. And so I'll just leave lock rotation on. I'll leave that open. Now what I want to do is anywhere I need a weld nut, I'm just going to click that edge, hit enter, click that edge, hit enter. Now let's find another one we can put in. There we go. Here's 2 more. Click that edge, hit enter, click that edge, hit enter. It's that easy. And they're all mated. I don't have to go back and hit mate. I don't have to do anything. I'll drag them in. I don't have to select the surfaces and the edges and all that stuff. So that's just an awesome way of doing something with the copy with mates.
DPEC says that sometimes it's a little slow.
Sometimes a little slow. It doesn't work with all mates. They are increasing functionality. That's part of the SO systems, thing. If it doesn't work now, look again later because we might have it working. But not all mates are functional with this. But there are a lot. Any of your standard mates are going to work. It's when you get to the mechanical mates and your advanced mates that you're going to start seeing some stuff that might not work. So think about that. Same assembly, yes, same assembly. So now here, I'll show you this. So if it works on here, so this is something that I added, and this is just a little extra thing you can look at. And I won't dive too deep just for sake of time. I'll open this part up so I can drag it in. But I have some mate references here you can see in this folder. I went in and added those a while back for our stuff. It's kind of is. I'm going to show SmartMates just real quick here in a second too, just to kind of show that. So I'm glad you brought that up too. But when I come in here and I grab that and I grab the weld nut, now watch what happens. When I come close to a hole, it just drops. So if you got hardware that could use this functionality, reach out to a CAD admin or something and let them know. Because now that I've added those mate references, they just drop. And I just click, it's there. The only thing it didn't do, so it basically gave me my coincident, it gave me my cylindrical mate. The only thing it didn't do is give me my lock rotation or planar mate to help get that third mate down. So that's that one. And then back to your smart mates. This is something just kind of cool that I'll throw out there. If we bring that same weld nut in, it creates.
I mean, second bit, you don't care if it's not rotated, right?
So
I've heard different things. I've heard that, okay, well, if you don't have it fine, because it causes issues, or by not having it fully defined, you help this program not have to regenerate that third thing.
Yep. So having that third mate will lock it down, will fully define it. And I'm sure anybody here, the VARs, can validate this if they know. But the third mate does, in my understanding, what I've been told by Dassault, right, is that it does add a little more calculation to the process and rendering or whatever it's doing, right, and the calculation of it. The lock rotation is actually treated a little bit better in that calculation and doesn't slow down as much. So the lock rotation is good. However, there has been some issues with lock rotation on flexible assemblies and stuff, flexible mates and stuff, which you really shouldn't have flexible mates when you're finishing a model anyway. It's really only for just kind of looking at things. But flexible mates can, I've heard and seen issues where that can cause problems with your lock rotation. You'll end up having your ketchup and mustard show up.
Correct.
Yeah, if you don't fully define, then it's really sitting there spinning, trying to figure out what you do. Yeah, anything that's unresolved or underdefined or not defined is, we've got our model healthcare course internally that will illustrate that for you and show you that too.
This part in this location, I can render it there and not be.
That's a great question.
Use profile.
Profile, you're talking like a planar mate or something, parallel mate or something like that?
The advanced mates, but that's considered an advanced mate.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Anything but if you can.
Yeah, one mate.
That drives. I'm not 100% sure. That drives investigation and my brain churn a little bit. Do you guys know about that? I've never really tried it and looked at it. I'd be curious to see. And Matt, I don't know if you'll drive SOLIDWORKS or R&D.
Is faster than doing, concentric with.
It's great having SOLIDWORKS with us when we ride. I'm curious. Does anybody in the chat know if a profile mate is faster than doing a normal concentric coincident lock? So we'll ask out there. We'll see what people have. We'll put a thought out and see what they
Years
think.
ago, when we were doing that Prove It event, it was told to us by a couple of ours that the standard mates were faster calculating than advanced mates. So
That's what I was getting ready to say. If at all means possible, stay inside standard. They function better. They're more stable. When you try and replace parts, they're going to replace better. There's just a lot of things that help want us to keep in the standard. Like Brad was saying, moving into the advanced and mechanical mates, from my understanding, take longer to calculate because of the type of mate they are, and they're not always great when you replace. If you notice, if you ever replace a part with a width mate or something like that, sometimes they break quite often. Slot mates, yeah, exactly. So that stuff breaks.
standard mates are faster.
Standard mates are faster. Okay, so back to the smart mate, just real quick. I just want to throw this while I was in here. I'm gonna drag this guy up here, so it's where I want it. And then I'm just gonna grab this bottom edge because I don't really have a good edge to use on this. So I'm just gonna grab this guy right here, and I'm gonna hold down Alt. Grab the edge. You have to grab an edge. That's a key thing about it. See how I grab that edge and hold Alt? It snaps right to it. That's a start mate. It applies when you do it. You have to grab the edge, but it's going to apply your coincident and your concentric automatically.
Specifically, edges, not facing.
I'm pretty confident it's edges. I think I looked into that a while back, and the faces were not a thing.
Does it give you a little pop-up and lock the rotation?
It does not. So basically what you would do then is just do if you're doing a bunch of these. Now, if you're doing a bunch of these, I would suggest smart mates or not smart mates, but I would suggest copy with mates or mate references, right? If you're just doing one-offs, then just go in there and click it and then go lock your rotation there. But either way, if you did whatever, because like, for example, the mate references, when you drop, say, 50 weld nuts in there, because they're not patterned, seed patterned or anything. So you drop, say, 50 weld nuts in there at once with the mate reference, then go to your feature tree or use select identical components, select all those, jump into your mate, your properties tab for your mates, and then you can go in and just select all your concentric mates, right click and lock them all at once. Okie dokie. Good participation. Thank you guys for participating. That always makes it a lot more fun.
Chat's going nuts.
I like when the chat goes nuts. All right, so there's copy with mates. We just did that one. Okay. Mouse gestures. You mouse gestures. You already heard me talk. I just want to run in real quick time. I'll just show they live, and how to use them. Quit. There we go. All right, mouse gestures are not as easy as the S key. You have to go into the menu. You have to go to mouse gestures. But this is a lot easier. The way you used to have to do mouse gestures back in the day was a little bit more complicated with the menu and how you had to apply them. When they came out with the functionality of having your mouse wheels right there and dragging and dropping into the mouse wheel was like just beautiful, right? So that was great. But that's all you're doing is you're just going in here, you're searching for your command that you want, and you drag and drop it into the appropriate environment that you want that in. Okay. I do want to ask one quick question for you guys on Zoom and in the room. Do you find one command that is on every one of those mouse gestures that's the same?
Mine, I have the S key on mine.
That's right. Bottom left quadrant of the mouse gesture, there is the S key, the shortcut menu. So now not only do I not have to reach to the keyboard when I'm taking a bite of my Big Mac and trying to draw at the same time, I can just use my mouse gestures to initiate the shortcut. Now I'm just extra lazy, right? So no, and I like using the word lazy. It's not a bad term when it comes to engineering, in my opinion, because I was always told by a professor, and I think I actually have a quote from somebody. I think it was Steve Jobs said something about I will always hire the laziest person because they will find the fastest way to do something. They will save you the most money. Now you got to make sure you're doing that in conjunction with not reducing quality and that kind of stuff when we go back to looking at the design for X or whatever you want to call it, right? So there it is.
Question in the chat. I prefer 8 mouse gestures. What does everybody else prefer?
Good question. Anybody in here use mouse gestures? How many do you use? 8. 8. 8. All right, in the chat, yeah. How many of you guys using in there? I use the full-blown 12. When they went to 12, I went to 12. When they go to 100, I might go to 100. I don't know. It does get a little cumbersome. That's why when I light my mouse gestures up, sometimes I got to look again a little bit. But it's all good. I love my mouse gestures, and I wouldn't trade them for anything. Now, extra little advice. This guy right here comes with extra mouse gestures. All you have to do is hit your side key. Oh, I don't have it turned on. Hold on. If it connects to this real quick, I had it set up Bluetooth. I don't know if it's going to connect. Anyway, you hit this, and it brings its own radial menu up. Okay.
It's called radio menu in there, so.
Radio menu is what it's called, and the 3D connection tools. It works on this device, and each device can have different ones. So it works on this device, it works on that device, it works on all their devices, right? And so you could have radio menu for this, radio menu for that, mouse gestures for your SolidWorks, and now you're never driving anywhere to get anything. And here's an extra tidbit for you Altec folks. If you guys know Dylan Rankin, give him a thumbs up or a thank you, because he created shortcuts for us at Altec that you can use. If you go to Quick View, right, and right click, go to other utilities or softwares, you'll see shortcuts in there, and you actually can, I don't have it on this, Brad probably has it, but you can hit Alt D or Alt A, will pull a shortcut menu. I've got it set up to when I go open my computer in the morning, I hit startup and it loads everything for me. I have SolidWorks open, I have Team Center open, I have my emails open, because it's a shortcut, and you can actually combine all those together and then use that to do a multi-action across it, right? Also, just recently, he reached out to Brad and myself and was like, I know you guys are power users and you love mouse gestures. How about a shortcut menu for your computer? So Alt D, which I put on a hotkey on my macro pad, and you hit it, and then now you have extra shortcuts on a radio menu for Altec stuff. So I want to go to Ethos, or I want to go to ABS.
Goes to the radio.
Oh, Alt A is radio, Alt D is the shortcut menu. Yeah. Alt D short, sorry, I had those backwards. Alt D is drop down menu, Alt A is your radio menu. But then that gives you access just to be able to get into ABS or whatever else just from your radio menus on your mouse. So that's pretty cool. Just a little extra for the Altec.
We're at 135.
130. Okay, I'm gonna tab this up real quick. Isolate change dimensions. I've got to show this one. So this is something I found I did not know SolidWorks did. It came out in 2012. Does anybody ever use this? In the chat, I'm curious. Has anybody ever used isolate change dimensions before?
Never seen it.
Never. I've never seen it. So that's why I had to include it in this. If we go back to SolidWorks, and we're going to close these menus here. And I've got a part that I can open. Let me close it and make sure it's not in my stuff so it doesn't mess with what I'm trying to do here. I delete and then come up, open, PowerPoint, next level tips and tricks, tip plate. Okay. Anybody ever opened up a drawing? Maybe somebody was doing a model for you and now you're doing the prints, or maybe you're just a print guy and you're doing prints, right? And you're kind of wondering what's changed on this model, what's different, right? So all you have to do when you open that print, if something has changed and you don't know what it is, go to View, Hide and Show. And if you see it before me, it says Isolate Change Dimensions. We come back here and click. The only dimension that changed was that hole diameter. It went to 1 inch. And furthermore, if I go and highlight over it, it tells me what it was. Now that's a knowledge bomb that I'm dropping today, because I got it dropped on me when I was investigating this presentation. So that is pretty cool. It works with all these dimensions that are on here. If those dimensions are on there and something's changed, you can easily go see what's changed. Maybe you did it. Maybe somebody was helping you with an EC, and you need to figure out what to put in your EC revision block.
The question in the chat, does it got but one revision or multiple? I think it's only one change.
One change. Well,
Oh, feedback says just one.
just one. So whatever was changed in the last save.
Last rev level.
Last save.
Let's say.
Yep. Yeah, so if you go, say the part was open, somebody went in and modified that part, hit save and closed it, or for example, you on your part, right? And then you go and open the print afterwards. You can do that View, Hide, Show, Isolate, Change Dimensions, and it shows you what the change dimensions were. And that came out in 2012, right? That's what, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
And I did not know that. That's no different than the holy shift couple commands that Brad showed me yesterday. I did not know about them, right? And that's why I keep saying this, and I said it yesterday. That's why I come to SWUG meetings. That's why I enjoy seeing presentations, because I never know what nugget I'm taking back that day. Yeah. All right. So let me jump back. I think the rest of them I will just kind of breeze through to get to the end. Breadcrumbs, that's a great tool. If you don't know it, look it up. It came out in I think 18. Select over geometry, that's a cool tool. That's in your selection menu. You go to your selection menu, select over geometry. If you're zoomed into a part, it'll work. Works in a part as well, but I think I see more advantage in assembly. Like if you're trying to select a whole mess of parts in a certain area, the right to left selection and left to right selection still work the same. So whatever's on it or crossing over the lines versus whatever's inside of the box when you select the left to right to left stuff, it's functional there. But if you go and you're zoomed into a big model and you want to select those parts that are in that area and you try and like highlight over them with a selection box, it doesn't work, right? But if you go to your selection drop down and do select over geometry, then you can make that functionality work. All right. That was 2018. Group mates, I spoke about this many times. Group mates is a great way. If you've got a lot of ketchup and mustard in your stuff, go to your mate folder, right click group mates by status, and it'll put them in folders based on your solved, your overdefined, and your inability to define. So your ketchup and mustard will all be separated into folders. Then you know you can go to your red ones and try and solve those first, because if we solve the red ones, typically you don't sets out those issues together so you can actually manipulate them better. And then when you're done with that, you can go back to your group, your mate folder, right click group mates by status, and it'll flip it back the way it was in case you don't want to keep it that way. And it also auto sorts. So as you solve them and fix them or mess them up, they will jump between folders for you and you'll see them solve in the folders too. So that's a really cool feature out. All right, so back to what I was saying earlier, we both like to go and give a call to action, as well as I like to do notes. If I was you and you was me, I'm sitting in your shoes, you're in my shoes, what would I have written down for this meeting? What stood out to me when I was doing this stuff? The first one would be come to SWUG. You're going to learn things here that come out in iterations or what's new or those different things. You're going to learn new things. So come to SWUG is the first one. It's the people's CAD. We learned about it. It's a people's CAD that came out for the people. It's still being developed for the people. This user group, I've been in a lot of different CAD softwares, and I don't know of another CAD software that has a user group base like this one does. Onshape tried it. I don't even think that they was able to get it like this was. So it's the people's CAD. Vote on the top 10. I didn't mention the top 10, but those are suggestions. We did talk about enhancement requests. At the end of the year, they do a top 10 and have everybody vote on them. And then at World in February, they released the top 10 that everybody voted on for enhancements. So they're always taking enhancements. I went to another to investigate another CAD software. They did a top 5, I think it was. It may have been a top 10. Either way, their top 5 or top 10 that they did, they couldn't even do it from 1 year. They had to go back and catch multiple years because they don't even have that much in 1 year, right?
And they were debuting stuff that was 10 years old.
10 years old, yeah. They just got Command Search. So DS works to keep us on top of the game. You can get anything counting cards. So make sure you learn to count cards so you can get anything you want.
Just don't go to Vegas.
Yeah, just don't go to Vegas. They'll kick you out pretty quick. All right, so here's my call to action for you guys. There's going to be where they started is kind of what inspires them to keep going, right? So their core understanding of what they were trying to do is really inspiring them to keep going and keep providing the tools for the users. Honor the journey, drive the future. The lessons learned help give us the future to where we can go next and things that we can improve on. And with that, we can all build this legacy together. We just have to make sure we're feeding that information back to our VARs or the Dassault systems so that they understand what we're running into so that they can help make it better for us. Now, Abraham Lincoln said the best way to predict the future is to create it. So if you want to have SOLIDWORKS doing something you want, speak up. We can help create that. And then Warren Buffett said, someone is sitting in the shade today because someone planted a tree a long time ago. So same with SolidWorks. We're using SolidWorks today because somebody developed it a long time ago. Where is your stance going to be? What is your input? What is your plug-in into all this equation to help build that shade for somebody else? And with that, I will pause for some questions.